So today I wanted to do a video on how to help your friends cope with loss. And that doesn't necessarily mean friends. It could be how to help your wife or how to help your daughter. Basically help with loss, and particularly in a stillbirth or a miscarriage. So, and the reason I thought this was such a great idea to do a video on this, and it was suggested by a subscriber, but I thought it was such a great idea because one of the main things that helped me get through my loss and during my time of grief were the people that I talked to. My husband, my mom, and my dad, and my friends. Those were my supporters, and the things they said, they affected me deeply in either a negative or a positive way. So I wanted to go over just a couple pointers, what helped me cope with it. And I do want to just say that just because I like something or didn't like something doesn't necessarily mean that your friend won't like this, because I'm just my own person and I have different thoughts and I think differently. So just, the things I say, kind of take them and try and figure out if that's how your friend would feel. But I think that these are just some, just a few main pointers that just to keep in mind when you are talking to someone who is grieving. So the first I want to say is don't be afraid of them. For some reason I could sense if my friends were maybe a little uncomfortable or didn't know what to say and didn't know how to talk to someone like myself. And in that case, don't be afraid, because I can tell when you don't want to talk, and it makes me not want to talk. And during that time, we need to talk. We need to be able to express ourselves. And so if we're afraid that the person we're talking to may not necessarily want to discuss this, we'll be able to tell. And then my other pointer also is just listen. If you don't know what to say and you don't know how to say it, sometimes really just listening is a great thing to do. You don't need to give us an answer or a way to fix our problem. Just listening is good for us to just talk and let it out. Some things not to say. And these are just a few pointers, and like I said, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean your friend won't like it. But I really didn't like when people would say, well, I'm sure you can have another baby, or don't worry, you can have another baby. That's not necessarily the fear I'm having right now. It's not, yes, that does go through our head, will we be able to have another baby? But really what we're grieving about is the baby that we just lost. And we don't need you to tell us that we can have another one. Right now we're grieving about the one we had. Another one is, well, at least you weren't as far along as, maybe if you were third trimester. At least you weren't any further along. That is not upsetting, because that is upsetting to me, because actually the further you get along, I would have loved to have just a few more weeks with my baby. I didn't want him to be taken at 20 weeks. If he was going to be taken, I would have even possibly rather give it a little bit more time. So saying things like that is not helpful. To tell me that at least I wasn't further along, that's not helpful to me. Another one that I really don't like, and this might be a touchy one, but it's, well, God just must have needed another angel. That, to me, I don't really necessarily believe that. It does comfort me to know that Jesus is holding my baby and he's in the arms of God, and I know that my baby is okay because he's in heaven. But thinking that God just needed another angel and decided to take mine, to me, does not make me feel good. It makes me feel like God is mean, and he just took my baby because he wanted him. And I don't find that helpful. So I didn't like statements like that. I think if you have a way to explain that you know what they're going through, I think that's great. I think it's great when people would tell me their story, tell me I lost a child, I know what you're going through, it is the worst, and then to just tell me that it does get better, it gets easier with time. Things like that did make me feel better. It made me feel better to hear the stories of people having babies after that. And that's probably why I kind of gravitated toward YouTube, because there were so many stories out there, so many where they've lost and they've gotten their baby in the end. So if that's a great way, if you can express, how they're feeling, I think that's great. If you don't know how they're feeling, that's okay too. I think that it's totally okay to just say, I can't imagine, this is so terrible. I think things like that are fine. Another pointer is, and this is hard because this might just be me, it might not be other people. So I watched a video actually on this pointer, and Heidi Kim, I believe, is her YouTube video, or her YouTube name, and she talks about maybe making it seem like, well, I wasn't as far along as you, and a lot of women feel like they can't explain their miscarriage to you if they were maybe in a first trimester miscarriage. And not that that's not true. I think that she does an amazing way of really explaining it. But I think also I would like to say is it was a little bit difficult for me during the time that I lost my second trimester baby to relate to a first trimester miscarriage. It was a little bit more difficult. They're definitely the same kind of loss. I really did grieve my first baby boy and my second one. They were both terrible losses, and I can't even describe to you the pain I went through on both miscarriages. But I couldn't, for some reason, relate as much as I could before to a first trimester miscarriage than to now what I was going through with a 20-week miscarriage. Just simply because of the different way it had to happen, like a delivery, and the recovery process was much different. So it was hard for me to relate in that case. That doesn't mean that if you've had a first trimester miscarriage, it's not good to tell your story and tell them, what happens, something good. So, yeah. And then if you are a husband right now watching this video and trying to get an idea of how to deal with your wife during this loss, I think all of those are great pointers. I think that to really realize that during this time of the loss, I know that for husbands it is hard too. They're sad. I think it's a little bit of a different sadness. I think they're sad for their baby, but they also are very sad for their wife and what their wife is going through. And so I want to say that during the time of loss, really make sure that you try and make it about the wife, or about your girlfriend or something. Really try and make it about them, because they are going through a much different process of grief than probably you are, just for the fact because we carried the baby. I think another way to put it is, if you're sad, it's definitely good to show your wife that you're sad. It was always good for me knowing that my husband loved the baby as much as I did and wanted the baby as much as I did, but I definitely was unable to carry his grief like he could carry mine. If I had to carry his grief just like I had to carry mine, I think it would have been a really hard and almost overwhelming for me. For me to be on the floor crying and him on the floor crying is a lot more for me to handle. I can't necessarily take care of me and my husband also, if that makes sense. So, obviously just being that rock, being strong for her, and just really trying to take care of her. The final one is for husbands, just don't rush us. It is going to take time, lots of time. Maybe at this point, you're starting to feel much better and you want to, really just start being in a more positive attitude, and she's still not doing it. Really just try and help her and be there 100% during all her grief, and never make her feel like she needs to hurry and get over it. Those are just a few little pointers. I'm sure there's much more that other people could definitely say that helps them or didn't help them. And if you do have any more suggestions, I would suggest to probably put it in the comment, and let's maybe get a dialect going and really talk about what are some different ways to help, and maybe some things to avoid saying or whatnot. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this was helpful, definitely like it and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to have some new videos out soon. So thanks for watching.